The purpose of this video is to illustrate how to create a main function in a program as well as a specific function that is going to be called within that main program. We're going to use the return value of a function. That's the example that we're going to follow. This example is also in your textbook. So the main function is called total ages, and the smaller function that performs a specific task is going to be called by total ages, and it's called sum ages. Here's what the actual code looks like in Python. Let's make sure it works correctly. Mainly all we're doing is we're asking the user to enter their age, their friend's age, and then add the two together. A very simple program, but we will run it. Enter your age. I'll put in 17. And the next age is 25. And together, it says together you are 42 years old. All right, so we're going to take this program and divide it into two functions. So the first step that I'm going to take is I'm going to write that I'm defining the main program as a function. Next, I'm going to reuse the reserved word def, that stands for defining a function, followed by a function name, followed by parentheses, open close parentheses. This one is going to be called main, open close parentheses, colon. You notice that when I press the enter key, the cursor or the pointer automatically indented, which means all the statements associated with this function must be indented. I'm going to highlight them, choose Format, Indent the Region. All of these indented statements are going to be associated with the function itself. Let me go and add lines so that they're all the same length, vertical length. The last statement in a function is where that function ends. So I'm just going to say end main function. That's where it's ending here. Now we're going to also calculate total age and create a function for that. And it's going to be called in this location. So, okay, because this comment has more than one line, I'm going to use my 3 single quotes. There are no blank spaces between them. And I'm going to say the sum age function accepts 2 numerical arguments and returns the sum of those arguments. And we want to close out this comment by adding 3 single quotes. And it is going to be called sum age, num1 argument and num2. These are just generic arguments that could represent the sum of any 2 different kinds of objects. Result is going to be equal to the sum of the first argument plus the second argument. And we're going to return result. And this function ends here in sum age function. Remember, the last indented line is where that function ends. finally, we get to call both of these functions. Call the main function. To call a function, you're going to display or refer to the function name. In this case, it's called main, followed by open close parentheses, and if there are arguments that are being returned, you will include those inside of those parentheses, but there are none here to be returned. And so the program ends at this point. We do have to call the sum age function. So the next step would be to go back here, and here's where we're going to call it. Call the sum age function that is used to calculate the total age. That's what's happening. And what I'm doing is I'm saying it does calculate or sums two values. That's what's actually happening here. Okay, so now when we call the sum age, we're going to use sum age, and the arguments are going to be first age comma second age, open close parentheses. So when you call the sum age, it's looking for you to add two arguments. And what happens is when you run the program, the first age value is going to get transported to num1. The second age value is going to get transported to num2. The computer returns the results when it is called. And so this is what happens here. So now we're going to save and run the program. Okay, so let's look at the program one more time just to make sure that we define our main program as a function. We created a function for summing two values and using it in this particular application. We're calling the sum age function. So the fact of the matter is you may have main functions or one function calling another function. And essentially this is supposed to enable the program to focus on the functionalities of what's going on rather than all the details. Sometimes it can be very overwhelming when you look at a lot of details, and it'll make more sense as you review other videos. Okay, so now we're going to run the program. Enter your age. I'll say 12 and 18. Together you are 30 years old. So practice creating different functions and make sure you understand the difference between the different kinds of functions.